Okay, welcome to our very first critique. I've been promising you this would happen, so this is the first one. We found it where? Goodwill, $1.99. Did we overpay?
Ow! That hurt!
There was a time when I couldn't paint nearly this well, but hopefully I'm a little bit better now. So a lot of you would instantly say, I like it. You know, and you'd be honest. I really do like it. Well, can I just say, this is not good art. I'm just being honest, it's not good art. It's a person who's learning. And so let's go over why. Why is it not good art? Well, we can take all the different elements and start to go over them. By the way, it's not an albino deer. She never finished the painting. I understand it was a lady, we don't really know her name. Nevertheless, that deer is drawn in and left out of the paint. She was going to finish it, obviously she didn't. But it's a good example for us to start with. At first I want to talk about the water itself. So she's got this pond or lake there, and I want to tell you, she doesn't really know how to do that. She doesn't know how to do water, nor does she know how to do foliage and trees. She doesn't really understand, I guess, the true nature of anything. The grass, the trees, the water, maybe even the sky. It looks like that might have been intended to be the sun, but it could be a round cloud, who knows? She knows some basic things. She knows some basic things, but all of those things have been gleaned from, not from nature. I don't think she spent any time painting outside. It's probably from a photograph. Let's talk about the water first. At least she sees that it's not all just a blue lake or a blue pond. I see that a lot in beginning artist work. They would just paint the whole thing out in blue. So she has several gradients. That's a good thing. She has a highlight. I guess that probably is the sun up there, because she has a highlight kind of coming down from that, which lightens this part. And then she shows some green here, which is obviously a reflection of the foliage coming down. So she understands those things. She also understands there's going to be ripples like these, which are nice reflections, ripples in the water. So she gets all that. To be honest, you have to learn more about water. Before I go on, I want to show you some other examples of water paintings that I think will help you to understand. This painting is a great painting. Did I say great? It's a great painting of water. This painting is by Albert Handel. He's one of my mentors, one of my teachers, a fabulous painter who lives in Santa Fe. So let's take a look at this. We note that these patches of value appear throughout. Look how dark he chose to go in these places. This represents water. Then obviously the foam of the water is much lighter, but it's not pure white. You would think coming down it would be pure white. The truth is, as artists, we don't really want to use a lot of pure white. We want to use off-whites, and we're really better off to use a lot of off-whites. So I want you to stop and think about something here. We look at this value, and then we look at this value, and then we look at this one. 1, 2, 3. Dark to light. Values, a quick answer to what they are is it's the lightness or darkness of a thing. It's, if you think of it in terms of grayscale, it would be everything from black to white. That might be done in 4 steps, 6 steps, or 10 steps. Some value finders go in 10 steps, but oftentimes you can do it in 6 or 4. So light, medium, and dark here. He's thinking in terms of patches, areas that have similar values, not just in terms of tiny little details. So you can look at this shape and know something about that. It's actually separated from this because this is sort of a rapids area, so the water's moving quickly. I actually spoke about tree leaves in our first video, how If a person comes in and does a few little spatters and it looks like leaves and they sort of satisfied with that, then what do? They want to do more. So they just start popping it in over and over ad nauseum. But when you look at Albert's painting, look at these tree leaves. 3 little dots here. We come over here and there's just this wonderful shape that goes across the background onto the rocks. Look at the highlights here. There's really a patch of light. These lights, it's as though the sun is hitting all of these little lights. This one, of course, is scattered. There are very few leaves there. If he had done, now think about this. If he had done this amount of light in all of these places, note that that's relatively solid, a patch of light. This one is relatively a patch of light. So just imagine that he put that same patch here, 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 here.
Here, 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 there, takes here, here, takes here, 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 and you just win the game.
If he did, he would have her painting. I hope that makes sense to you. Okay, I'm going to have to use a light to be able to show you these textures. So, when you have a light from above, and truthfully, it could be from the side, it's called a raking light. When you rake light at a harsh angle across a thing, then you can see texture. Okay, no different than my hand. If I point the light at my hand this way, yeah, you can see some texture, but not nearly as much as when you do this. Yeah, I'm old.
The world's greatest hand model.
Anyway, so I'm going to do the same thing and put this light up here. A lot of times you can actually, artists will buy a picture light and hang it right there, attach it to the painting, and it always will have that raking light going across it, which will show you texture and also highlight the painting. Here's something really important about a master and about Albert Handel. He's not the only one that can accomplish this, but this is the example that I have. You don't really want to repeat yourself. You don't want to repeat yourself. You want each stroke, each mark to live on its own, as though that piece is the only part of the painting, is the painting by itself. Okay, here's another example. This is actually one of mine. It's a little pastel, probably 9 inches by 9 inches. It's a little pastel that I did on location. It has water, it has trees and foliage, so I wanted to use it as another example to sort of bounce off that first one. It's a little pastel. It was done on location, so that's done in plein air, and it is about 9 inches square. I was in actually the Hondo Valley of New Mexico, close to Ruidoso, when I painted this. And so it's got kind of a lot of the elements that first painting that we're critiquing has. This is water, whether you believe it or not. That's water. Here's the bank that's jutting out into the little stream. And then the water continues to go backwards in the painting. Pretty impressionistic. It was done in probably 20 or 30 minute time span. I have the limbs going in multiple directions, large, small, and medium. So I have a very large width for the tree. I have some medium size saplings coming out, but they quickly go to sort of razor thin lines to represent the tiniest twigs, okay, without going into great detail. This is a way of capturing water, which is quite different from this water. Doesn't mean that mine is the only approach, but hopefully I've studied water a little bit more than this person, or maybe than most people. Okay, since I showed you that pastel done in near San Patricio in New Mexico, this ironically was the first time I'd ever done water. Sitting there without using any kind of photography. And it was a big challenge to me. Everything I'd done with water, for the most part, anything I'd done that was sort of serious was using photography. And photography can get you close, but it's not the same as being there. This was on location. I was sitting on a little footbridge at the Church of Chimayo, near Chimayo, New Mexico. This is a watercolor done on watercolor paper, and you'll see, lots of little dabs with the paintbrush. For the most part, they're relatively small, maybe a little repetitive. Nevertheless, there were 2 fence posts. This was a little ditch, a acequia. Water was flowing through there. And if you notice, then each fence post has its own reflection down into the water. It's dark, and yet you're still seeing some light flickering through in each of those cases. Anytime you have a post, a tree, or anything coming out of the water, then immediately it's a pretty close reflection as far as size and color. The further you get away from that object, the crazier the pattern becomes. And this is almost always true. Maybe I'll just say it's always true. So we come down here, and it's almost indistinguishable as what that is a reflection. Same thing here. So anyway, this is water painted not from our thoughts about what water should be, but about looking at it. It was pretty interesting to me. As I said, I'd never done it. And the crazy thing is, it doesn't sit still for you. So I had to look and watch the patterns. I had to observe. I didn't even begin painting this until I had sat there for several minutes watching the patterns and how they changed. The swirls, they don't repeat themselves exactly, nor would I want them to. It was a beautiful experience. If you want some homework, try something like that. Okay, so question for you. You've seen the other paintings compared to this one. Now you look at this one. Now just very quickly, I want you to tell me which you like better, this or that. It's almost like you're going to the optometrist. Which is clearer, A or B?
Which one do you like better, number 1 or number 2?
Which do you like better, this or that? The reason I said I want you to look quickly, hopefully you pick this one, because I would pick it hands down. But do you notice something about it? Yep, it's a paint by number. What I'm really telling you is a paint by number is better than this. A paint by number. Any guesses as to why a paint by number could be better? Here's why. I actually collect paint by numbers, and my favorites are bad paint by numbers. So when we go to estate sales and just junk stores, I actually look for badly done paint by numbers. I know it's silly, but it's just, there's a lot of really well-painted ones. And truthfully, this one is not bad. It's a well-painted paint by number. Nevertheless, what is paint by number all about? It's amateurs who want to paint but know their limitations. They just started, and so they think, well, I'll try this paint by number. I want to know why. Let's pretend that this was the guy's very first painting. By the way, it's dated 1960, D.L. Buck. I have no idea who he is, but I liked it, and it serves as a good representation of what I'm trying to talk about here. The reason that a paint by number is good is because a paint by number was drawn by a professional artist. A professional drew that in the first place. So there probably are very few drawing mistakes, if any. The second thing is the artist also chose the colors, hand chose every color. So the artist would paint that, get it all in, analyze each color, and then the company would say, we need these colors mixed up, put into their tiny little tubs, put into the box, and then sent out for sale. You have drawing, good drawing, you have good color choices, and third, you have good value choices, and that's maybe the most important thing. So all of these values are subdued, they're grayed. I'm going to talk more later about graying your colors. Too often, we want to get these rich, great colors, almost straight out of the tube. That kind of art has its place. This isn't one of them. I think you'll find if you go outside and paint, there are a lot more grayed greens, grayed blues, browns with gray mixed in than just straight colors. When we look at this, I think that Mr. Buck did a great job. I think you might agree, but at least you know why. I'm not suggesting that you go out and start doing paint by numbers. I just want you to know that it has a place, and that if they're really done badly, send them to me. I might buy them. This brings our very first official critique to an end. Remember what I said though, everybody's taste is different. I don't expect your taste to be like mine. What I am trying to do is educate you as to some fine points about how these things are done and why they're done and things like that. What I'd like you to do is comment. Don't you get tired of these things? Comment, like, and subscribe, whatever. I really get tired of hearing that. I guess there's a reason. If you want other people to see this and make sure that that happens, then maybe you should do those things. I hate to even say it. I do look forward to your comments about these paintings and see if you agree or disagree with me. Look forward to the next one. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Daniel. I can't believe it. I tore the paper off the back of that paint by number and I found this written. 1960, which it said that on the front side, done in 1960, Fort Ord Army Hospital. So that was Mr. Buck, killed May 19th, 1962. Man, that's moving. That's moving to me. And I just found that out. I've owned that piece for years and never tore the paper off the back. That's a lesson. If you find an old piece, the paper on the back is worth nothing unless there's some writing. Tear it off and see what's on the back. So I want to say hats off to our military, our veterans, and to Mr. Buck, who gave his life, killed May 19, 1962. Thank you, Mr. Buck.